What is something that you were warned about when you were younger that you now feel was exaggerated? Your permanent record. I'm 55, and nobody has ever asked me about the time I was sent to the principal's office when I was 16. I was promised people would offer me drugs for free. Right? Me too. At 42 I have thus far only been offered expensive drugs. Very disappointing. I don't even know how to find a drug dealer. They should teach these sorts of useful life lessons in school. I've been a toker for 17 years and I still don't know how to find a dealer. I was buying off my 16-year-old brother when I was in my early 20s because he worked at a restaurant and had a hookup. This is the real answer. Maybe not the most practical one, but if you get a job waiting tables bartending on the weekends for even a few weeks, you'll meet multiple people with drug hookups. I kinda miss working in restaurants. Definitely not enough to ever go back, but at every office job I've worked since, there's this compulsion to present the most squeaky clean version of yourself to coworkers. Whereas working in restaurants you'd have a coworker come in and immediately tell you, yeah, I caught my girlfriend cheating on me with my brother yesterday. After work I'm gonna scoop up an 8-ball and head across the street to get shit-faced. Wanna come? Kinda miss that total honesty and the shared commiseration of, well, this gig ducking sucks, but at least you guys are cool. Working in a restaurant will have you knowing some of the deepest secrets of your coworkers' lives, and you've known them for 2 weeks max. When my 5th grade teacher told us that 6th grade would be a lot harder. Swallowing chewing gum. In still waiting for that watermelon to grow out of my stomach. Talking to strangers online. Hello internet friends. Mom warned me to avoid any girl who wanted to stick her tongue in my mouth, French kiss, because it would lead me astray. Mama warned me about women like you. I was hoping she was right. Whoa mama. My mom was obsessed with the idea that all bad shit only happened after midnight, so that was my ironclad curfew. Guess what, Mom? A ton of bad shit has happened to me in broad daylight. If the movie Gremlins ever raised an existential question in my jellyfish brain, it has to be this one. When does after midnight stop? 11:37? 13:15? How do the gremlins know what time zone they're in? How about daylight savings time? The clue's in the name, they work on GMT Gremlin Mean Time. My parents both smoked before having kids, and my mom raised me on stories about how the first time she smoked a cigarette, she coughed so badly that she threw up. It made staying away from smoking cigarettes pretty easy, because I didn't want to puke. Once I was in college I brought up the story to her and she blinked like an owl caught in the sunlight. Wait, you believed me? She said. I was just trying to get you to not smoke. If smoking made me vomit, why do you think I smoked for 15 years? Good job, Mom. I could definitely see throwing up the first time you smoke a cigarette, especially if it's a really strong one. Cigarettes taste horrible and the nicotine makes you feel lightheaded and nauseous if it's your first time. I didn't throw up but I coughed my guts out. Same thing with the first time I tried weed, coughed for what felt like eternity. My school made me believe that I would be set on fire frequently. It has obviously not happened yet. My 50-year-old dad actually got set on fire not too long ago and he said his first reaction was to stop, drop and roll like he heard in grade school and that it worked. So it may not happen very often but someday you may be thankful. It doesn't help when you are covered in a flammable, self-oxygenating liquid. Ask me how I know. How do you know? He didn't live long enough to answer sadly. To ash you say? I really thought the Bermuda Triangle would play a stronger role in my adulthood. Stranger rape. It still happens and is devastating, but most rapes are committed by someone known to the victim, not by a masked stranger popping out of the bushes. I think that emphasis on stranger fear discourages people from seeing red flags in situations with people they know. Wasn't it then found out that stranger danger did a lot of harm because when people were in actual danger they were less likely to seek out help from stranger because they were afraid of them? Also because it focused so much on strangers that it kinda further reinforced that non-strangers are safe. Now your creepy uncle who you would be wary of is just a creepy uncle, not a stranger, so he must be safe. An overwhelming amount of kidnappings happen from someone you know closely, like a family member. Whenever there's an Amber Alert, it almost always seems to be non-custodial parent. Apart from infamous quicksand, I thought it would be a bigger problem being stuck in the Alps and having to drink alcohol from a St. Bernard's necklace. Also, cannibalism was a huge concern in late elementary to early middle school days. It was highly unlikely we'd ever crash in the Andes or that our wagon train would get stuck in the mountains in winter, but for some reason all the kids in my school were concerned about it. Should we eat someone? Could we actually do it if we had to? Who should we eat first? The fat kid will keep, but we don't want the muscular guy to lose too much weight. We were pretty ducked up, am now realizing. Having a bad handwriting being a huge handicap for me in the future in my professional life. I've been working for 20 years, now. Never had to write anything down using a pen beyond personal notes here and there, not meant to be shared. Can anyone read this guy's post? It just looks like scribbles to me. They should have warned him when he was younger. Maybe if he typed in cursive we'd understand. Edit to add. Done with the service at lingojam.com. Finally. Something legible. I was told in DARE that people would constantly be offering me drugs and trying to get me high and it would be a constant struggle to turn them down. Imagine my disappointment. Getting written up at work. Turns out that permanent work record does not exist, and will not follow you from job to job for the rest of your life. Or your school permanent record like all the tropes in shows and movies. No one cares that you pushed little Billy down in 4th grade. I remember my teachers always scaring me saying if I misbehave it'll go on my permanent record. As if some potential employer is going to be like you're highly qualified for this job but unfortunately we can't hire you since you pushed Billy back in 4th grade. Turning on the light in the car. #X200B, turns out it's not illegal but is actually distracting for the driver. So dad could have just said the glare is distracting, don't have it on for long. I make it a point to wreck my car if someone turns on the overhead light after I tell them not to. They have to learn somehow. And that's why you don't turn the light on when dad's driving. Arrested Development jingle plays. If you are not a model student and don't have excellent grades, you will never amount to anything in life. I was a model student and had excellent grades. I haven't amounted to much due to crippling anxiety and depression. Yay? I once saw it said that gifted students either became doctors, lawyers, or adults with crippling anxiety. Teaching kids to base their self-worth on academic achievement is essentially a high-risk, high-reward maneuver. You might give them the mentality to reach the top of the non-business income earners, but more likely you'll scar them for life when they don't get there and have to live with not being okay with being mediocre. Playing with yourself will make you go blind. Sure, my eyesight has declined over the decades, but it's absolutely been worth it. My mom said some of her friends growing up were told lies like that. One friend was apparently told if she touched herself she would go crazy. My mom told me that this girl did go crazy because she was obsessed with trying to not touch herself, like after she peed she had to make sure her hands didn't touch anywhere. And this actually drove her crazy. Of course, I don't know if this is true or just a wild exaggeration from my mom. But she did seem sad when she told me that, so I think it might have been mostly true. The majority of those claims can be traced back to the same kind of quack medicine Kellogg was into. You know, the man who invented cornflakes to make people stop jacking off? The guy who popularized male circumcision because he thought it made boys not get off? The guy who advocated staunchly for using acid on little girls' clits specifically so they couldn't enjoy sex later in life? Sorry, I just listened to the Behind the Bastards episodes about him. It really did a great job explaining how Christian Puritanism and 1800s medicine both somehow revolved around jerking the gherkin. Oh, and Kellogg was also a strong supporter of eugenics. That's not related to masturbation, but I wanted to mention it anyway. Duck Kellogg.